Welcome to Trash Talk. I'm Lane.
I'm D.
I'm Chase.
I'm Brian.
And you're the audience on Facebook. Ryan is looking good. Big Dick Grape looks pretty good. Derrick's looking good. I don't know what's on your shirt, Derrick. What is that?
My
Fucking
homie,
Mahomes. Fucking Mahomes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. You want to show off your hat? Yeah. There it is.
World's greatest runner-up this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's a rematch, right? That's what's going to happen this year.
That'd be pretty cool.
I'd be down.
Yeah. Could
Has
happen.
that ever happened in the Super Bowl era? A rematch from the year before? In the Super Bowl?
Man, the Bills tried to make it. The Bills tried to make it happen going 4 years in a row. I think
I don't think they ever played the same team 2 years in a row, though.
But no, because 1 year it was Dallas. Yeah. So and then yeah.
Well,
right.
It could happen this year. You never know. Stranger things have happened. Especially with
It's hard to get back to the Super Bowl multiple years in a row, but
for real.
If there was a chance for that to happen, I think the Chiefs and Niners
Cowboys for
they kept
someone.
a lot of their main team intact still. They brought a lot of
the 90s.
Yeah, it's not the 90s. Jason's already big dick in it. So, Chase, do you want to talk about this first story you got here, or are you just frozen up during it? Yeah, he's frozen. Happened. Hey, what are you guys drinking out there?
H2O.
Water.
Jameson. Chasing it with a little water.
All right, that's fine. I got the red stripe. I don't know what Chase is drinking.
Hooray beer.
Yeah, besides the guy drinking water. That's
I'm
fine.
drinking that Chiefs Kool-Aid.
Straight to the head.
To the dome.
To the dome. So we will talk about the necrophiliac later. Or no, excuse me, the cannibalism later. Should we talk about the man that got arrested for farting on the police?
Yes.
That is assault. That is a weird assault, but assault.
It has happened multiple times, apparently.
To the same cop?
No, not the same cop, but this most recent one.
Hey, I got a really bad signal. Can you
Okay.
guys hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you better, definitely. So, did you hear about this, Chase? The man farting?
In
No?
Austria, no less.
No.
He had his 560 pounds for farting loudly in front of police officers.
Was he being squeezed?
No, it sounds like he waited for the exact right time and squeezed one out very loudly. I'm assuming he like made eye contact with the police, you know.
Came from the deep butt.
Yeah. So I guess that says it all.
Farting in the presence of a police officer costs a lot, quote unquote.
Yeah.
If only Monty Python would have clarified on that. Farting in someone's general direction.
I think there's a good joke there, but I don't think I can say it yet. It's too soon.
Oh, apparently he rose slightly from the park bench, looked at the offers, and apparently intentionally released a massive fart in the immediate vicinity of the officers.
Offensive.
Yeah, super.
So the next time I fart in front of my wife, she can call the cops on me?
So essentially it was more or less the eye contact than anything.
I mean,
it says this is meant for you. You probably gave him one of these faces too.
Damn it.
I think it was more of like the officer felt assaulted from that, or didn't you? You know,
And especially if he had to smell it
If
after,
he had Taco
probably
Bell,
arresting
yeah,
him.
it's definitely assault.
Yeah, especially Taco Bell.
What do they eat in Austria that would
Vienna
do that?
sausages.
I have no clue what they eat in Austria. I would assume some sort of Italian Greek mix.
And sausages.
Yeah, probably about that.
That makes sense.
But it's happened here in Missouri. They arrested a man. Or he turned out to have a felony for arrest, but he passed gas so loud he gave up his hiding spot.
That's happened so many times. I think I've been reading that shit since high school. Like reading articles of fuckers can't hide because they're gas, man.
We don't have visual, sir, but we can smell them.
And then another one in Scotland, a man farted while he was getting a body cavity search.
No, you
Well,
can't.
what did he?
That.
What do you expect?
Yeah, how are you gonna like?
It's
really,
a nervous part.
Exactly, it's just bodily function at that point.
I mean, if you're getting up there, man, you're asking for that type of prize.
You're asking for it.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Yes.
Excuse me, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
No, I'm not going to do that shit.
And that's why the man had to pay $75 or 75 hours of community service.
Excuse me, do any of you have a mint?
Perhaps some Banaka?
So, Chase, you've never farted on a cop? No.
You got to think about it.
Thinking real hard.
No.
Ryan, isn't your dad
a
cop, isn't he?
Huh?
Is your dad a cop?
Yeah, my dad's a sergeant in Fremont. Yeah,
He never got farted on, though, did he?
he would have definitely told me, that's for sure. No, he's told me a lot of the stuff that he's got to deal with for sure. Yeah. Being farted on isn't one of them, but I think, I mean, I know people have spat at him, obviously, but nothing crazy fetishy.
So here's the real big question: what is a worse crime, farting on the police or eating your grandma?
Eating your grandma.
Hands down, number 2.
I think we can all agree to that.
I mean, was it some like witchcraft bullshit where he's like, you know, he's trying to like consume his grandmother's spirits for
we're talking about
personal gain?
Yeah, cannibalism.
They said the police didn't release anything, but the man's being tested to see if it was drug related, you know, like if he was smoking bath salts or something.
That's definitely bath salts.
Worse.
Like, remember that dude, that high school kid in Florida that basically started eating a dude in his garage after he killed him?
Yeah, there was multiple people like that going on. There was somebody that was, I think they killed someone and then started eating their face in Florida as well.
Florida bath salts. We hear you somewhat. What are you trying to say, Big Dick?
Do it.
Big Dick. Can you hear me?
Did Grape fall asleep?
I was going to say, what's worse, eating grandma or eating out grandma?
Damn, that's a tough one.
I think I'd have to go the cannibalism route there.
That's like the Family Guy. Would you rather?
My signal is really bad.
It is.
Yeah, we know.
It's just strong. I don't know what's going on.
I guess your dick's not that big for not getting good reception.
Son of a bitch.
Do you have the wire wrapped around your dick or what? No response. That's fine. So
you hear me?
Now we can.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else about eating grandma?
No. That's some bad shit. Like, I want to ask that guy a bunch of questions, but Maybe we don't need to know the answers.
I mean, there's a lot of deranged people out there.
I know some people that are into cannibalism.
It says I have strong signal.
Loud noises.
Jason,
Oh man,
I don't know. Refresh your page again, maybe. Don't
I
get
killed
locked
a guy
out.
with a trident.
Yeah. Because you are just frozen half the time, then all of a sudden your voice just comes out of nowhere.
Poor. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why we're gonna hopefully be getting into studio here real soon. About to see what kind of happens with Nebraska reopening for business and see how
Right.
cases are spiking and everything. Are they spiking? Does anyone know?
Yeah, they're spiking
In places, yeah.
20 states right now, I believe.
In the
Oklahoma's
states,
having records.
I'm talking
record
about
spiking.
Nebraska, Omaha in general.
I haven't
Our-
heard anything about
our
Nebraska. I think like Texas, Florida, I think Oklahoma was another one that are spiking pretty bad right now.
I read last month we were hitting our stride as far as like all of a sudden like the percentage of cases coming out and hospital beds being taken. It was starting to hit a higher number, like a record number at that point, like maybe anywhere from 3 weeks to a month ago. But I haven't heard that type of talk since then.
Well, it seems like it never really went down. It's been consistent, like around the hundreds every day. 100 cases reported, you know.
Did you hear what Pence told all the governors just yesterday, I think?
Didn't he lie to him or something?
No, he had a conference call and told them to lie. He said to tell everybody that cases are going down. If anybody questions the numbers, then tell them that they're going up only because we have more testing, which is true.
Part of that is, yeah.
That doesn't mean anything, and to basically lie to people.
Yeah.
Fucking garbage.
Which is why it got leaked out to the news, because people are like, what the fuck is going on? Why would you say that?
Yeah. In this day and age, that shit isn't going to take long before it comes out.
Yeah, exactly. Truth will find a way out. Speaking of going down, though.
It was slippery, guys.
I mean, even just this music that's added to it, that they played during it, is kind of ridiculous, isn't it?
He's not a guy that walks with his arms swing anyway, so his balance
And
is
then,
probably
and then that little jaunt there at the bottom or the end is kind of it's weird.
Yeah.
So
That's a 72-year-old making a quick move for however fucking old he is.
I think he's 74 as of Sunday.
yeah, that exactly, because everyone's kind of wondering now, what is his health like? The fact that he was, shuffling.
You saw something with him in the water there too. He couldn't put the water to his mouth. He had to get his other hand and here, I got a glass of water. I can show you. So he just had a little hand and had it.
And to like lever it up,
Yeah.
So I saw on Yahoo News today that a doctor suggests that he's got untreated syphilis. And that's why
Like that.
and that's why we're seeing kind of a
deteriorating his brain.
A little bit of a wonky Trump, if we didn't already have one to start with. But
so was it Al Capone or someone else die from that?
Yeah,
Yes.
died of syphilis in prison.
Yeah. But people used to die of it all.
Something I was reading. I mean, I hate to talk conjecture on something that couch diagnosing somebody, but I don't remember the name of it. But it's basically, I think, a mental declining thing. That if you watch a lot of his posture, he's always from the side. He's always kind of leaning forward a lot, even when he's standing up. They have trouble using the fine motor skills in their hands. Which explains using two hands to drink out of a cup. Walking down any sort of incline could be difficult. There was some thread about it. They just had all these pictures, videos, and stuff, and then describing the symptoms, even like rambling sentences, incompleted thoughts. And then it even gets into certain personality disorders too, about basically trying to make everything about yourself, having a big ego, and if somebody says something you don't like, you just get really pissed off. It was, wish I could know the name of it, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would explain quite a lot, though, honestly,
Yeah. Absolutely.
What did you hear about the joke he made during that speech he gave, too, didn't you?
I don't think so.
He was trying to, so I think it was West Point graduates. That's where that video was from. And the West Point people have been doing the end of their semester or whatever remotely because of COVID. And he wanted to give a speech because it was his birthday and it was also coincided with the graduation day. So he forced them all to get together. And then he made kind of a poor taste joke where, this is about them celebrating the achievement of graduating from West Point. And I don't remember the joke verbatim, but the punchline was basically like, you're all here for my birthday and blah, blah. And he waited for the applause that never came. Like, not a single noise. Maybe you heard a mouse fart on a cop or something. That was about it.
That's weird.
Imagine that guy that wanted to clap and was like,
Yeah, pretty much. Just pulled a great. Just froze up.
Pulled a great. No? All right.
Sorry, I was looking at something else.
I was doing that a second ago, too.
So he had 2 decrees this week, some executive orders. He made it federally illegal for chokeholds or kneeling on people's necks, for the cops to do that. ... Unless they're in fear for their life.
Oh, Jesus.
Which
is a pretty tough thing to explain when you're in the dominant position, eh?
Yeah. And that's been a big issue with a lot of people with police brutality is there's always the claim I was in fear for my life. It's a nice blanket thing to finagle your way out of a lot of things, I guess, for cops. And so a lot of people are basically saying you made this executive order that has 0 teeth to it.
Man, with the amount of cops that are usually around in a situation like that, you would think that would be a tough thing to try to prove, because obviously you have to be able to prove upon a reasonable doubt. You would think, when said cop is fearing for his life, supposedly, and he's got 5 friends with him, five coworkers, 5 fellow officers. You'd have to be able to prove some. You'd think now, a lot of unreasonable doubt.
I mean, it's kind of a surprise that it took this long to be outlawed, right?
Yeah. Something like that, like an unreasonable maneuver. Because again, if you've got your knee to someone's neck, you're in a dominant fucking position. If anyone that's a wrestler or MMA guy, leverage, is fucking is everything. So and those types of things go down when you're taking down someone, is leverage. And when you've got your knee in the fucking neck, man, that's you're not moving.
Take much. It don't take much to just cut circulation off really easily.
Oh, you got your jugular right there too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you ever tried to do a sit up with someone holding your forehead? It's in certain spots of your body. It doesn't take that much strength to hold someone down. Now, if you've got someone in cuffs and your knees into the back of the neck, why not, ask for one of your fellow 5 guys standing around watching you struggle, help pull them up and get them onto a car, into the car. Why do you have to sit there for 8 minutes and 47 seconds or whatever the fuck it was?
It was way too long.
In cuffs.
Yeah.
Well, his other executive order this week was abolishing the Obama era rules or laws that were part of Obamacare, getting rid of the discrimination laws for LGBTQ in hospitals.
Yeah.
So now, if a hospital, somebody or the hospital has a policy, or the person that's supposed to be helping you has whatever beliefs, You could be dying, and they could say, "I'm not helping that person. They're gay."
Yeah.
Which is just
Fucking-
insane.
Yeah.
And he also did this on the anniversary of the Pulse nightclub shooting in Florida.
Yeah. It's hard. You can't, man. The timing of that is kind of, I think, just a
That's some
coincidence.
Stephen
But
Miller
either
shit.
way,
Almost
that
guaranteed.
the shit's dumb.
So
Like
wait,
the
this
ruling
happened?
on that or the reversal is dumb.
Trump signed an executive order about hospitals, and then the Supreme Court signed or passed the law, not law, but they had the ruling that it's now you can't discriminate against them.
As far
I
as
think
like they can't be fired for being
Yeah.
trans,
And I think
lesbian, bi.
I think it bleeds into other stuff too about like marriages,
Yeah.
sodomy.
It doesn't-
have sodomy rules, laws.
It doesn't affect housing, though. That's one thing I've learned is
Ah.
that ruling, it does not affect housing. So there's still some work to be done, but shit, like it's still a giant step, eh? You know?
So do you think he did this like on purpose at the same time to like to kind of speak to his base too? Like, oh yeah, we're allowing them to keep their jobs, but we can discriminate against their health, you know?
That's a good question. Like, which one was levied first? Was it the Trump change, or was it the Supreme Court confirmation?
I mean, he
The
probably
Supreme Court came out first, and I think it was the next day this happened.
probably
okay.
thought
So-
that the Supreme Court was going to go the other way and was trying to add to it, you know?
Yeah, Neil Gorsuch is the one that gave the address or delivery. He wrote the piece, whatever they call that. Although I think it was Kavanaugh who wrote a dissenting letter. He voted against it. But as far as the timing and everything, I can almost guarantee you that came from Stephen Miller. That guy's a sick bastard.
Well, I think he's doing a lot of Trump's policies right now.
Yeah, I think he does too.
Sorry, Jordan, maybe things will get a little more provocative later on. So
Jordan.
Stay tuned in. If you're turned on, stay tuned in for more. Or maybe he's talking about the little fro curls of Derrick.
Yeah, man.
So,
Chiefs fans.
I mean, the LBGTQ community is happy about today, right?
They were happy about the Supreme Court ruling.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are really upset with the hospital thing.
Yeah, I can see that. Good to know.
He's quickly turning this into a big one thing.
Man, he's pushing an agenda, man.
Gay porn hard.
There's nothing wrong with that, Derrick. Do you think that this will just reverse back in a little bit?
Like it just teeter-totters back and forth?
Yeah. Like eventually there'll be some law where they're not to be able to discriminate against for housing and the doctor now, you know.
Depends on who gets elected. Not just president.
Yeah. Well, and there's always amendments or additions. So, I mean, I think it just takes time to find out, like, or to work in these after the fact. Like, hey, these holes that we left, we left out here, you know, as far as what this should have covered. Why not let's add these? You know, I imagine that probably will take another fucking 4 years, something like that.
Make sure you vote.
Yeah, fucking A. Register to vote. Do your census. You know,
Yeah,
make
I did my
that
census.
everyone.
When we had the state primaries, I actually researched everybody on the ballot, including all the school board and all that stuff.
Really? Wow.
You got to.
I don't get that deep into school board, but I think that might change now with Cameron on board, you know, depending on whatever area that I end up in.
My brother and a couple other people were who I thought about when I was looking into that stuff. It was just like...
It's a fair point.
But it's all different areas, you know. the school board affects everything. You know, the MUD officer is like what's really important.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't know, because I have no clue what they do.
Yeah, they just lead a conference, probably. A
MUD?
conference call. The MUD guy, girl.
I know that they're important for setting pricing. They're a pretty big part in that. And then as far as like initiatives too, I think it's OPPD. Like I know whoever leads that, those sort of initiatives, like they're doing a whole solar panel thing right now that you can co-op into.
Yeah. Did they send you guys letters about like joining a survey so you could like keep them informed on like things, topics they should be aware of, kind of thing?
I don't recall getting a letter for that. Although I think I'm on a no mailing list. They can send all that stuff to me in my email, so I get emails.
Yeah,
from them,
that's where I get it at, actually.
I don't think I got an email like that unless it went to my junk. My bill certainly never goes to the junk mail.
Yeah, that one always arrives
on time.
Hey, it's time for monies.
Yeah.
Speaking of money and everything, just kind of wanted to talk about the Omaha budget real fast.
Oh, there you go.
Super exciting stuff. Apparently, the total for the police is over 150 million for 2020 recommended.
And
they had 164
over.
I had to move that to my big screen.
Sorry, we'll go faux big.
Oh, there you go.
How big is the annual city budget, though?
That I did not pull up. I just pulled up the police department. Oh shit, Lil Dick's back.
Little Dick Grape.
Is that better?
Some grapes.
Welcome back. Vicky says hi, guys.
Oh, hey.
When do I get to be your beer server?
When we can be in the studio.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going back to the
We're waiting to
studio.
hear from Wayne when we get the AOK to be back in the studio.
What is this? I don't think so. Or maybe she's talking about to Omaha, $78,000.
700,000.
For what? To trash talk?
Oh, man.
We're definitely getting the studio now.
Yeah, we're going to have to beat people.
Vicky's
You
hired. Yeah.
guys can hire anyone.
Well, no, we just add that to the Omaha budget.
Oh, okay.
So,
do they track donations like that, though? Or is that kind of like in a budget like that?
I would assume so. I mean, this is kind of like all on the it's free public information.
Gotcha. Okay.
Private donor. Interesting.
Warren Buffett.
It's interesting to me because it's like, well, what are they donating money to the city for? Is that trying to keep the police funded?
If you have that type of change to go around for that type of stuff, oftentimes you're probably rich and you get tax cuts for that. Like Warren Buffett back in the 90s, maybe it was Bill Gates. I think it was Warren Buffett donated something like, well, it was definitely millions and millions, maybe even like, I thought it was like half of somebody's wealth to the federal government. But somebody calculated out the tax cuts they would get, and it was like over a decade of substantial tax cuts. So like in the long run, it basically paid for itself. I'm not saying that their thought behind that was in a bad place at all, but just some context for possible motivation.
Right.
Well, we got this headline right here. Omaha's budget could exceed $1 billion because of the roads.
Well, that's why. We just had that on the ballot, voting for that. I think it was an extra 35 cents for every dollar of your if you own property. It's an extra 35 cents for every dollar of your property's value, which I know in my neighborhood, and we discussed this last time when James was on too. My house went up something like almost $33,000 in property value. James was similar. So everybody that owns property, they just jack up the property price to collect on that.
That's how this state makes its money, man. Property taxes. They provide so many other loopholes, for the corporate side of things that you gotta generate that income somehow.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, Vic.
And then you have all these other neighborhoods, becoming overhauled and looking genuinely a lot nicer. That adds that adds a big part of it.
Yeah, since I bought my house, I think its property value, because I'm like right in Midtown, so they've been doing all that work. Our property value has gone up probably over $50,000 in 5 years.
Wow.
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think I've heard other people talking about that, how they need to fix the roads, so everyone's going to pay even more than their house is worth or whatever.
Right. There's been a post floating around Facebook about someone that lives in North Omaha, and how their property taxes have increased 90 to 200% in the past 5 years. But like a lot of major areas aren't seeing that hike. Like where Jean Stothert lives, the last 4 years that she's been in office, her property taxes haven't raised at all.
Of course, hers hasn't.
And all the potholes
You got
on
all
our
these
road
areas
will
like
get fixed.
Northwest Omaha or Northeast Omaha, everything's being jacked up 200%. Fucked up.
Yeah, the scary part too then is kind of that worry of gentrification. You price people out of the neighborhood, then you get people coming in that are developers, tear everything down or completely remodel houses and put them out of price range for people, and now you have a housing crisis.
Yeah,
That's a little too much for 2020, Derek. Let's hold that off till next year.
It's happening, man.
Yeah. Jean's roads are beautiful, but I do like her comment about they should have fixed the roads. Why did we need a new Jean Leahy mall? There was nothing wrong with that one downtown with the slides.
Because every mayor's got to make their mark downtown somehow. Mike Fahey got a street named after him after he made sure that the CWS and all that got moved downtown, and had the baseball field built. Had to have a stamp, And now the mayor's this one's doing the same fucking thing, and like you said, Lane. Park was just fine. If anything, it could be cleaned up a bit, but it did. We didn't need to get hacked something fierce for something like that when we do patch job works on our roads every year instead of just actually fucking putting together some nice roads. Well,
and a trolley.
Yeah, the fucking trolley. Thank you.
What happened to the streetcar in Omaha? Gas
I haven't
company.
even seen it.
It doesn't exist. There used to be one in Dundee.
That would be the way of everything.
No, it wouldn't.
No, it wouldn't. Not
It
necessarily.
It could go down the middle of Dodge Street and be fine.
I think the planned route was from UNO to downtown, and I think it was on Farnham, and then maybe one other street was involved. Harney, maybe.
It was just a bunch of fucking on it.
Yeah. But there was a streetcar. There was a streetcar back in the 1900s that Omaha had, and then they got rid of it because of the gas companies. And they tried to do another one, and the gas company said, nope, that's not happening.
Was that the basis for Ollie the trolley? Because now we've got the one that goes over the road and that you can, schedule parties to ride around in. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I know Ollie, but that's just like a party bus, essentially.
Well, like one of the originals. But I'm just now curious if that's maybe now that I'm learning there was one back in the 1900s, maybe that's an inspiration from it.
I would say not, because Ollie looks like he's out of the 70s or something,
That's also true. That's probably when it was made for sure.
Yeah. I don't know, Vicky. I would go for a ride on a fucking trolley, a streetcar.
would.
Yeah,
I would do it more often.
If it was like also,
You would do it one time when you're drunk.
yeah,
Several times
like,
drunk.
I would be with you.
I would ride it a couple of times, just kind of like I rode the scooters a couple of times, and then never again. You know,
The whole podcast on that. We did stunts.
We did do stunts on the scooters, and I don't think they're coming back, are they?
I ain't heard that they were supposed to, but with COVID, they couldn't reasonably do that. So unless it magically disappears.
Yeah. Well, they probably should.
People are getting hurt. Yeah.
I think a big issue, too, with the trolley was, from what I read, they were saying that it was to help drunk people, especially the college students, which is why they're running it from UNO downtown. Because you got Creighton in between. And you got a lot of commuters that are younger that, go to like Bellevue or Metro that live in this area. So I think they were trying to get people off the street and not drinking and driving. At least that was one of the reasons, or one of the things they were trying to sell on it anyways.
Yeah, the city's got a big problem with drinking and driving. That's for sure. And that's because our mass transit's, pretty garbage compared to most metropolitan areas.
Man, when I was in Europe after my wedding, it was their mass transit is amazing down there. Like, you can get everywhere in a major city just taking rails.
Yeah,
take a bite.
Pretty much.
Take a bite.
Me.
You eating some Cheerios there, Big Scoots?
What are you eating? I want to see it. Show us.
I think it's noodles.
I can. I'll spill it all over the computer.
You got
ramen with a American cheese slice in it.
All right. Yeah, that looks straight up American.
All right, I got a question for you guys. I speaking of cheese slices, I saw something online with this. All the people that post all those stupid, watch me sprinkle some salt on this steak and grill it, and all those types of videos. This guy filleted this steak to make this kind of flowery looking shape. Grills it, tops it with American cheese. Have you guys ever done that with a steak?
No, and that guy can fuck right off.
Yeah, that's like almost worse than doing well done, right? And ketchup.
Yeah, and then dip it into ketchup. Yeah, I mean, fuck.
When I saw it, I was kind of disgusted, but then I thought about it, and I was like, "Well, I eat a burger with cheese on it, but a steak, though, that's a good cut of meat."
That's a different cut of meat, though. Especially, I mean, if you're getting a strip or a sirloin or a ribeye, your hamburger is like just chuck. That's different meat.
What about American apple pie with a slice of cheese on top?
I've heard of that. I've never done it.
I haven't either, but it sounds disgusting to me.
I'd rather have a dollop of ice cream.
Hard pass.
So Vicky brings up a good point again. If the state would legalize marijuana, we'd be in the green.
Yeah, and our streets. Granted, that probably creates more problems, but I'm not backing away. I'm fully in support of that. But I mean, I'd rather have the problems of having more money than always having to fucking figure out ways of gouging the taxpayers, in illegitimate ways, like restaurant tax,
Yeah.
I think a big problem, too, with Omaha's taxes is that how many taxes have we had that they say are supposed to be temporary? And they never are.
And they still are here.
Yep.
Yeah. I've got family out of town that always bitches. Like, when they come to town, they're like, "How's everything so much more expensive?" Like, I've got friends from out of town that come, or family, that come up here from like Illinois, and they come up to buy liquor, and they're like, "Man, I don't want to buy anything up here. It's way more expensive." I'm just like, it's just how Nebraska's trying to get their money. That, and well, for the liquor purposes, just because we've got problems with drinking and driving. Back to that, but
yeah, but
if people want to drink, they're going to drink. I don't think, unless you make a bottle of liquor $100, I don't think you're stopping anybody.
That's why
I
you
mean,
just add a little tax, So instead of instead of like a $35 bottle of whiskey, it's now 42. You know what I mean? Like, they're just giving you a little gouge there at the end.
See, I don't even think though that the taxes are that expensive in Omaha. I mean, like we have one of the best what is it called, cost of living compared to the nation.
Well, and that's true, but it kind of gets offset with the property tax value.
Yeah.
But yeah,
again,
I mean, it's definitely cheaper to eat here than other places. I'll agree with you there, but that's more of like I think like a price inflation for the market as opposed to taxes maybe.
Well, we have the most bars, restaurants per capita in the nation, so
Right.
yeah, you can easily price yourself out of everybody's range if everybody else is cheaper than you.
Yeah, pretty much.
There is a petition going around just to get it on the ballot this year for medical marijuana. Has anyone signed it yet?
Yes.
Yep. With my mask on, because I saw she was sitting at my door.
She was sitting in your door?
Well, yeah, because I saw her stand. I could definitely tell she was one of the troops, obviously. So like I went, like she had the whole sign, petitions. I think she had like 7 of them. Did you guys sign 7 of them?
Well, there's a lot. There's also gambling they're trying to get.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was the other thing, was gambling. So
I think one of them was out to remove this property tax or whatever. There's a couple going around still. I don't know how far they're on track with all COVID getting pushed, if it's going to still work out for it, but it would solve a lot of problems.
I think Omaha is hurting itself to a certain degree with the property tax, though. If more affluent families, especially reaching retirement age, are wanting to leave the state because they can't afford to live here once they hit retirement age. And now whatever money they'd be contributing is gone. And
that's been happening.
Who's going to move here? I mean, if everything's so damn expensive. So I would imagine that either everything's going to, if it gets that bad, things are either going to have a big crash as far as property values go because nobody wants to pay for it, so it doesn't get maintained, or you're just going to get a bunch of rich people moving here and outprice everybody, and then you get a housing crisis again as far as affordability goes.
And that type of thing's been going on for decades, man. They've been selling like I remember my grandparents bought a timeshare down in Bella Vista, Arkansas. Ended up moving down there when they retired and bought property. And then you hear stories of people moving to Arizona at a certain point. And
I might talk about moving to Arkansas or Tennessee. There's a few places in kind of that general area, just because it's so much cheaper. You get like a $300,000 house here is, and that's probably including the property value, is something like a little over 100. It's a huge difference.
And you're upgrading as far as scenery is concerned. Maybe the people are less intelligent, but like as far as like if you're into the nature, and I'm sure as people get older, maybe you try to get one with, like just getting out by yourself a bit more. But like it's gorgeous in those places, and why wouldn't you want to move there?
I think the retirement thing too is at that point you don't probably care too much about school districts and things of that nature that affect your family per se. It's like I can live here comfortably, and I don't have to worry about anybody else but myself and maybe a wife or whatever.
Yeah, and Bella Vista, that used to be just a retirement village in Arkansas. Like as soon as you crossed the border from Missouri, if you were heading south from Kansas City, in Joplin, like as soon as you cross the border, boom, a little retirement village of like 7,000 retired people, and they had their own little homeowner authority that basically spoke for the entire area in certain districts and things of that nature. And I mean, that sounds awesome. You not have to worry about school districts, like you said, like that was a big thing. But now so many people have like gone there, vacationing with their grandparents. They're now moving there and raising their children there, and now it's a city. So I guess where I'm going with that is, I mean, a lot of people are moving down there, and then as people get older, they're wanting to relocate down there. And to your point, Derek, if Nebraska doesn't make a change, like we're just going to keep losing people. We're not going to have the population base, and then we're just going to get taxed out the ass because of it.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't continue down that path. Was that watermelon?
Yeah, little beatbox. I just wanted to cover this real fast. The budget for current property tax is 47.922 cents per $100. That seems ridiculous.
Wow.
And then it also talks about the redoing the Riverfront, $300 million, which there is donations of $250 million. So only 50 is what the city is paying. But isn't that just too much?
That?
What's that?
I thought they redid all that like 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah, no, they're redoing it still. I'm pretty sure. I thought that was about the Gene Leahy Riverfront thing.
Maybe it's from all the flood damage.
No, because I think it's part of they're redoing ConAgra.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
what's it going to be?
I think they're taking out the skating rink.
Yeah.
I don't really know what they're planning on doing with it. They're putting the slides back, I think.
I've seen like blueprints, but like
slides are there.
A computer rendition of what they're doing. I just haven't seen it in a while. Maybe it's findable.
All right.
I'm gonna look for that.
Yeah, let me know if you find it. But obviously the roads are another big thing. That was like almost a lot of it.
And that $50 million that's coming from the city, that would do some justice to our roads. And it's pitiful that we're not using it for that.
I still got potholes in my neighborhood from 2 winters ago now.
I bet, man.
I mean, every road needs to be redone every year, but not just like patched. It needs to be redone, you know?
They finally redid ours, one of the big main roads on 36th, where we used to live at. They repaved all of that. But there was that road for a long time, for about a year, and then a couple that branched off of that. I couldn't even drive my car on it. I'm not joking. I'd bottom out.
I believe it. Some of those are deep. That's ridiculous.
So, what I wanted to also talk about with the whole budget thing, with the $160 million going to the police, do we need that much?
Oh,
no.
I mean, it depends on what it's funding. Yeah, exactly. That's the big thing. It's like, what are we trying to fund with it, and is it important?
But let me see if I can get more of a breakdown of what the cops do with it.
Like, is it just some things that they would like to have that would make, policing, more authoritative? Or are we talking like, padding people's bonuses or,
Well, I'm sure employee, compensation is part of it or whatever. And new uniforms every year. Oh, wait a second.
Oh, man. So that
new guns.
Yeah, you gotta get a new gun. You gotta get new bullets every year.
And that's a fair point. So I'm looking at that
that's pretty expensive
Gene Leahy mall renovation. It looks like when they're done, you're going to be able to just walk from the Gene Leahy mall area into that Heartland of America Park and then up into Lewis and Clark Landing, which is basically the riverfront. By the ConAgra place. Yeah.
There's going to be more water?
I mean, there might be a bigger stream, I'm sure, that'll, be funneled in from the river, maybe. I don't know how that's going to fucking work, but it just, from the plan that I'm looking at, yeah, it just, like, Lane, if you just Google Gene Leahy Mall plans, you'll come up on it. It's if that's how it's going to go, that's actually, for what it's worth, a neat little deal that'll connect everything. But do we really fucking need it? No. But I suppose I could also share my screen if I really wanted to.
Don't do it.
Does it doesn't work, eh?
I see it.
Those trees are gone, though. It's going to take a while for trees to grow.
They get fully grown trees.
I was going to say, yeah, they can bring in some fucking 5 to 10-year-old trees, and they won't be so bad. But if you go back and scroll down a little further, there was an actual little overview of it.
In the Google image search?
Yeah, in the Google images.
Oh.
Yeah, so scroll down a little bit. Keep going. No, keep going. There should be more.
Are they going to have concerts there or what?
That's a good question. That'd be neat.
Well, they got the concert area there right across the bridge.
There it is. Right there, that guy. Yep, that one.
That would be cool.
So if that's how it's supposed to, like the end game there, that's neat that it links all of that. But
yeah, I was wondering the same thing. Couldn't you walk around like down there before?
I don't know if it was 100% connected, but you have to like, you had to walk out, and what they're trying to maybe do is make it more open instead of having the underpass or the viaduct hiding spots, you know?
Yeah.
I think maybe that's the end game there. But
Derrick, I'm pretty sure the first time I had ever been to Omaha in the old market, you and I walked around at the Gene Leahy Mall smoking a spliff.
Makes sense.
Bob Marley style.
Did we go down the slides?
Yeah, no, it was the first time I'd ever seen any of that stuff. I think we did go down the slides.
That was when I took you out to King Kong for the first time too, wasn't
it? Probably. It's one of the first times I'd really like explored Omaha.
Huh.
Yeah, I agree with this one. You just want to make it more uppity.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
Keep the riffraff out, you know, get all those bums away from the library.
I'm sure the Mecca group's been complaining about the bums people they don't like, so they want to price everybody out of the area.
Yeah. Do you think that the bums will just go back?
They'll just sit in the open. Fuck it. I mean, it's a nice place to sit, I guess.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, by the interstate on ramp there off of is it Cumming? There's a few places in that whole area where there's some interstate on ramps, and they all just go up underneath the road and hang out and burn shit in a big barrel.
Yeah, got a few shanties or whatever.
Yeah, I've made a few walks lately.
I see tents along the interstate.
You'll see them all gathering.
You see tents?
Same here, Chase. I have ones, down under.
Yeah, I see tents and shit up in the trees all the time.
Jesus, I always think they're
stop
like
in every once in a while.
Yeah, eat some raccoon with them.
Share a story over some bathtub gin.
Yeah.
Barbecue squirrel.
No, I always think they have to be like hanging out in the by the railroad tracks, because like, you know, there's trees around them, and it's usually just property the railroad track leaves. You know, doesn't bother them or whatever. So
and you can hop a train real quick if you need to. You know, if you're that kind of.
Yeah, get the fuck out of there.
I used to go to high school with a guy that would do that. Like, as soon as he left high school, he started hopping trains.
Seriously?
Yeah. He'd just show up like 6 years late. He'd show up like 3 and 6 years later, dirty as shit, and he'd be like missing one extra tooth in the last one. But yeah, he just would hop a train and disappear for years and then come back. Now I think he's back up in Blair, but yeah, cool story.
That's pretty neat.
So live with a bunch of train hopping panhandlers outside of Sioux City.
What?
Really?
Dan moved on the hippie commune for a while. He left the hippie commune because all of them were like kind of more seasonal for hanging out in that area, but they would all hop trains and stuff and travel wherever.
Huh. Well, I did not know that. Is that how he ended up in Arizona or whatever?
I think it was shortly after he left. So he lived in Wayne, then he went to Sioux City, lived on the commune, and then when everybody left and he was out there by himself for a winter, he then moved down to Arizona, then he went back to Wayne for a bit.
Chase, you feel better after eating all that?
He's still eating.
Couldn't tell if he froze or if he was just thinking about it or whatever.
I know, right?
Tired of chewing food to liquefy in your mouth.
All right. So, Ryan, are you going to talk us through this coronation?
Yeah. 14 people have left. Players have left since the end of 2019.
Really?
14 players have transferred.
I had a feeling we
God.
were going to get Chase's reaction live.
All for various
That's
different reasons.
Hilarious.
That's for sure.
That's fucking hilarious.
And
Chase
probably
does need a beer.
probably the best one too. Spielman really makes me sad.
Yeah. That's the hardest blow, I think. But
he was the 14th one. He's the most recent.
Yeah, last week I think they announced that.
Like 7 years.
He left in February. Told the guys, "Yeah, I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna go back home and nurse this family thing that's going on, or whatever. I got to go back for personal reasons." And then, about a week or two before he actually announced that he was entering the transfer portal, he tweeted, and if you're a Husker fan listening, you know where I'm going. But yeah, he tweeted a photo of a Oregon State cap, so a helmet more specifically. So he was working out with Tyjon Lindsey because I don't know if you guys remember Keith Williams, the wide receiver coach for the Mike Riley era. Yeah. He still lives in Omaha. He still trains. He still gets NFL cats that come back and
work out with him.
Yeah, exactly.
And
now and Tyjon actually, he's at Oregon State now, but he actually came out. He flew out and worked out with JD Spielman and Keith Williams for like a weekend or some shit like that, and that's where the helmet came because Tyjon brought it with him and shit. But yeah, so he posts this photo of that, and that kind of like lit a fire. And then a week later, he transfers. Or he puts his name in the transfer portal. My guess, and this is mostly hearing like Damon Benning talk about it on his radio show he's heard enough people from the inside saying that like there's a possibility he might be done. Like he may not want to play football anymore.
Oh, Spielman.
Yeah, Spielman.
Wow.
Like he may be done altogether, and if he does play, he may not go D1, which he can't because he's a senior and he's not graduated, and so that means if you're transferring, you can't play the same season unless you've got a waiver of some fashion. And I don't think the reason of my quarterback hung me out to dry and tried to kill me for an entire season would be an acceptable NCAA waiver request reason.
Yeah.
That just one sentence is super sad. He was entering his senior year as the 4th all-time leading receiver already.
Pretty much was going to probably break every record when he left.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then we got the backup quarterback from Nebraska.
Wants to go start.
I mean, I don't blame him, but what happens when Adrian, or should I say,
blocker and breaks his foot?
Yeah, well, Taylor pulls a Taylor.
Well, we've got Luke McCaffrey, and then my dark horse favorite that I've been, chomping at the bit to see for a while, and that's, and I don't know why I've all of a sudden forgot his name, but Smothers is his last name. That kid's going to be a baller, I think. Yeah. He's actually my favorite. Luke is fast and whatnot, but like Smothers can run just as well as Luke and throw, I think, way better. And, you know, if I'm Vedral, I get out of there too. Like, those two cats are legit. So
that just sucks, though, that he followed Frost, you know,
right.
2 years.
But he's graduated, so he can transfer and do his thing, if memory serves. If that's, I think. Well, he's not a senior. That's another thing. So he can, I think, pretty much play right away. Oh yeah, because he has graduated and he'll be doing an undergrad or graduate school there.
Okay, that makes sense then.
So since he's doing graduate school and he has to pick a different major than what he had, you know, at Nebraska, he can play right away, and he'll start day one there. Like, they don't have anyone at Butgers. Henry Gray was probably one of the more saddest ones, because that was a really high quality cornerback coming in, and he basically hung out for a few months and was like, "Nah, fam, I'm out," and went back to Florida International.
I like Florida. I like Miami. I don't like these hicks out here in Lincoln. Apparently,
right. Darian Chase is an interesting one because he's in that wide receiver room. He was one of the guys that, like Damon Benning, who I like to listen to a lot. He was high on, and I think could have probably done some damage. But
he was high on bath salt.
No, he was high on him, high on his talent level.
Okay,
so he's gone.
Just making sure we're not recruiting. It's Florida, you know. Very well.
You have to be sure when you're talking about Florida. That's for sure. But yeah, and then he transferred to Portland State. So I guess he's just cool, just getting a degree, which is, I guess, fine. Miles Jones, I don't think will be a miss at all. I don't
remember that name.
A talented cat, but I don't think like he was going to make a mark, and he sounded like he just wanted to go home anyway, or closer to home. So Tennessee it is.
Yeah.
Javon McQuitty, he hasn't even found a school yet.
But they throw that in there, maybe Oregon State.
Right. But yeah, he hasn't even found a school. And this is what sucks about recruiting sometimes, is you can be high on a guy when he comes in because you're watching the tape and you're like, yeah, this could be a dominant wide receiver. And he gets hurt and just, I guess, never really recovered from the injury and hasn't seen a bunch of playing time ever. Out the door he goes.
Yeah, sorry. Get the fuck out of here, McQuitty.
Yeah. And we've got all these new kids coming in that are, I think, going to just pretty much steal the rest of his touches.
So is that what you think is going on? All these kind of like just hang-arounders are like, I'm not going to play this year. I'm out.
For some of it, yeah, and some of them are that way. Jerron Woodyard's another guy, too, that's basically like, I'm out because, I'm not playing.
What do you think that speaks bad or good for Nebraska? Like, maybe there's a lot of good talent coming in. Or do you think it's more like COVID-19 related for whatever reasons?
Who knows? What were you saying, Chase?
I said, would you stay if you weren't playing?
I mean, if you knew you weren't going to play, yeah, I'd have a hard time fucking sticking around. That's for sure. Unless you really, you have to really love the program, I guess, right? If you're going to stick it out and do that. And if you don't really, if you like it, and, you've made friends, but your goal is to like play, I don't think I would stick around. But
yeah, you got to buy in,
Yeah, and some of it, a lot of these guys, and I think Lane, you were mentioning, or maybe it was Derrick, different college coaching staff. So they've been these are guys that have been here for a while. So maybe they don't want to go through this other coaching staff anymore.
I mean, yeah, these are people that are like on their junior season or been around for stuff or already transferred from somewhere else, Yeah,
and Tony Butler is a guy that I think he transferred in and is now gone. Or I think we've got one guy that did transfer in and then Bunch transferred in and then transferred out. Pernell Jefferson was just a backup. I don't think he was going to end up doing anything, and maybe I don't think
that they were all these guys were on the Tom Osborne citizenship team.
I know, right? So they're good guys. You know what I mean? We're not talking about fucking prima donna jackwagons. We're talking about dudes that like got serious about being in the community, and were probably really good in school, obviously. So they weren't bad eggs. John Raritan just straight up was like, I'm done. I'm just gonna go to school and finish my architectural degree at Lincoln.
Power to him.
Yeah, I know, right? Which is unfortunate because he's like Raritan is a legacy. His dad played offensive lineman for us back in the 80s. I'm pretty sure actually because I randomly do this during the summer, I'll watch old Husker games. I'm pretty sure I watched an 80s Husker game with him playing in it.
Nice. His dad?
His dad. Jalen Bradley's gone. Was never I never thought he would actually stick around. So that was one I got right. I'll do that for that, but and then you have the guys that are fucking assholes, Andre Hunt and Katarian Legroni.
Yep. See ya. Expelled from the school. So they didn't really are they even allowed to enter a transfer protocol or whatever at that point?
They did. Now, whether they're picked up, obviously, because of their pending, legal shit. And then the other one, not just...
remember this hoe?
Yeah. See, I think Mo Washington, like JD, like that's an important loss because you already saw like what Maurice could do just in the limited time that he was there. Super fast and elusive dude. He's a weird cat. Damon Benning has said he talks to his helmet, but great talent. We're gonna miss not having him. That's for sure.
So, do you think it's Frost or just the year 2020 we're living in that something like this is happening?
We're in year 2 of an overhaul of a program. So, I mean, it might be Frost technically, but I feel like it's the program that he's building. Some guys came in here with a different idea. And so
it's the start of the third year, right?
So Scott's bringing in the dudes that he wants, like the guys that, that are buying in 100 right off the bat. He's not trying. And some of these guys that are leaving, they're the ones that he was trying to convince to hop on board, in year 1 and year 2. Big things can happen. And if one example would be Penn State. They were garbage the year before they went 11-2. And it was kind of the same deal. They dealt with like 17 transfers or something like that. And they were better for it. They rid themselves of a lot of guys that weren't given 100. And I mean, when you're a young guy and you see a dude transfer out that was maybe ahead of you, that makes you hungry. It makes you want it. And then, those guys go out and they perform. So I think addition by subtraction is probably a good description for them.
So I'm quite worried though that like just the team's going to be on a different page this year with like the COVID shit and losing some teams, new coaches even too. It's going to be a tough year.
Every team's dealing with that though. I guess it just depends on who has smart programs.
At least it's a level playing field when having to deal with this. Every school's having to deal with it in a way.
Is it though? Because like Texas and Florida is obviously way worse than Nebraska.
Yeah, but a lot like someone like Nebraska, for example, our players come from all over the country. So if they dipped home for a bit and they come back, they could theoretically bring it to the campus.
That is true. I guess people travel to games or whatever.
Yeah, traveling sports, so.
No, exactly. But Scott made it sound like he's got it all under control. They're going to test him and quarantine him, and and
did he comment on the 14 people leaving at all, or just kind of has he made any?
Not much other than, and he never comments much about players leaving because he's more worried about, and these are probably his words more or less, that he's more worried about the guys that are sticking around. So I think he's talked about JD because that came up, and he was, when that news came out, he was asked, his thoughts on it, and he was, he said it was a mutual parting of ways. So read into that a little bit with what you will.
That could be like, he might be having a personal emergency, or family crisis or something,
That's true.
Well, I mean, obviously this is happening in other colleges too at this time, right?
Yeah. It's just the thing that in JD's case, he was off practicing with Keith Williams or training with Keith Williams instead of being in Lincoln. So he was in Nebraska, but never came to Lincoln. So obviously there might be some contention with the coaching staff,
Yeah.
Some people were saying that he was leading a player coalition to push back on the coaches because they made him practice out in the like really cold one day, or like it was, they were getting him ready for a cold game out out in Minnesota or some shit, and so they practiced outside, and so there were some message boards comments basically saying JD was the leader of some player coalition. To go back against the coaches. Now, if that's true, fuck, man, that would explain a lot of it. But he's already come out on Twitter and said that's not true. But
well, it's probably
gotta be
same message board that was saying Adrian got fucking the volleyball girl pregnant last year, right?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean, you just kind of have to believe what you want to believe, I guess, at that point.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people saying Adrian must have found some strange in college that was really fucking with his head because.
It's been sophomore slump.
Yeah, and that's what I said.
He probably had syphilis or something. Got taken care of.
Untreated. Just giving him some mental.
So, what do you think? I mean, I know we're still months away from college football season. How do you think, if we had a full season, Nebraska would do this year?
I mean, they're still probably a 6-win team, but it looks prettier.
Are they practicing?
No.
They're going to start showing up soon.
Yeah, I thought they were doing like unteamed whatever, practicing or whatever. Yeah, what does that mean? Square.
It's a hand. It's waving.
I think
it's all clapping.
Oh, it is waving. Yeah, it's this.
She lifting little.
Oh, I might need to go.
I think it's little dumbbell. She's lifting up little dumbbells.
Oh, she's working out. Hi. Hey, Cindy. She doesn't like that Ryan's talking. Derrick, do something.
Well, I can stop.
Wow, guys.
Everybody's saying hi now.
Hi.
What's going on?
Hello. What's going on? Hey, knock it off. This isn't funny. Oh,
so
now they're talking to each other.
I don't think Nebraska's going to finish even 500. I'll believe it when I see it. It's been a shit road for a while, so.
Yeah, they suck. Shit, maybe they'll be really
we'll
good.
We'll see what these new recruits look like.
It's a lot of the program's got some time. It needs some time to be built. There was a lot of apparently unpacking that needed to be done from the previous couple staffs. So that's going to play a big part in it.
Well, hopefully you're right with all these guys getting let go. That'll just help whatever younger guys be hungrier and progress faster.
Right? You hope. And I mean, several of these newer recruits, they're the newest one, the outside linebacker-ish kind of guy from California. I can see where they're going to try and put him. Should work out. He's like 6'4", 220 pounds, something like that. Outside linebacker kind of guy. It only a 3-star, but the athleticism you can't help but notice. So
yeah. Nebraska this past year, didn't they have a top 25 recruiting class?
It was if it wasn't top 25, it was just outside of it. But yeah, I want to say in either Rivals or 24/7, it was a top 25 one.
What's that crap on your face, son?
I guess we all got beards.
Who's Cindy?
Thanks,
That's
Cindy.
Lena's mom.
Thanks for watching, Cindy. So do we talk about NFL?
Well, the Cowboys and the Texans apparently have multiple cases of COVID on their teams right now.
Right.
Ezekiel Elliott, running back from the Cowboys, freaked out when his name was leaked as being one of the people that were tested positive. And he was trying to claim HIPAA laws and stuff. I think it was his own agent that leaked it.
Oh, that's a quick way to get fired.
But he actually had it?
Yeah, he's confirmed has it. I don't know a lot about the guys that all have it and whatnot, but it sounds like they were all surprised. You know, some people kind of just are asymptomatic. So I think a lot of them were pretty shocked to find out that they were tested positive.
So he probably went to like the Ozarks and caught it or something.
Oh, Ezekiel is a big partier.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or went down to South Padre.
Snorted too much cocaine.
Probably on Jerry's yacht.
What about the Chiefs? No one's tested positive. No one's been tested.
Nobody has any affiliation with the team is tested positive for the Chiefs.
Have they been tested even?
Yep, they've been doing testing. So no staff members, no players, no coach, support crews, none of that. Right. They're still waiting on having a time to go to the facilities, but I think a lot of players are starting to show up in the area. So I think the NFL has a soft time frame right now, which I think might be in like a week or two. I do know that it sounds like they're going to shorten the preseason from 4 games to 2, since there hasn't been any of the summer camps and all that stuff. So they're going to give them extended practice time. Not even really extending it. They just have to trim off something to give them time to implement game plans and concepts and plays and all that stuff and get rookies integrated.
So, okay, that's great and everything. I forgot to mention what I was going to say about about the Huskers. I think the Chiefs will probably be great again this year. They got Mahomes. They're, but I think the Huskers will probably going to suck again this year.
Yeah, I was just saying. I think they'll be below 500. If it's 500, I think that's a good season for them.
No, I think
it's way too hard.
If they make it to a bowl game, it's going to be it'll be a good year. I mean, that's what they've been saying for the last 8 years. So
2000.
I don't like moral victories, but yeah, the extra practices for a bowl game are super valuable. So yeah, if they can get the 6 wins, that'd be ideal. But they can go undefeated basically until game 5 or 6, and then they hit the fucking hornet's nest. And to come out of there with 2 wins is going to be fucking really hard.
Who's that then? Ohio State, Wisconsin?
Yeah, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa.
Minnesota
and
Northwestern.
And Minnesota too. And none of those games are any of the big games. They're all away. So that's another. Most of them are away. So that's another problem.
Well, and that's even if we get to 5-0, which everyone's been thinking that's going to happen every year now, and it has. We went 0-5, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Mike Riley.
Yeah.
Are we playing Colorado again this year?
No, that's done.
Never again.
No?
They beat us twice, and we don't get to play them again.
We get to play Oklahoma next year.
Yeah, so they can beat us.
Right.
Yeah, so they can straight monkey stomp us. Well, hopefully by next year it won't be that bad.
When's the Ireland game?
I think that's this season, isn't it? Oh, maybe it's not going to happen now.
I thought it was next year, not this year.
Who
It's
are they
going to be
playing?
20. It'll be 2021, and they'll be playing Illinois
In Ireland.
In Ireland.
in Ireland. It'll be the opening game of the season,
What's
For
the
all
point?
college football?
and it'll
No,
be Saturday, August 28th, 2021.
Just to see if people travel to Europe for a football game, college
Well,
football.
football in general is trying to become more popular in Europe.
Yeah,
So that's why the NFL plays games there. I mean, the NFL's trying to play games in like Asia even now.
right. Well, yeah, the NFL wants to actually try to put a team in London, which is logistically fucking ludicrous. But
yeah, I would agree.
just
Football
a
is
night,
crazy.
just
I mean,
a nightmare.
any international sporting event like that, it's just difficult, you know, unless you have a way of making that flight go from 9 hours or whatever to a few.
Yeah, and it's not like you're flying like a soccer team who just has their shin guards and shoes.
Yeah.
You're flying over a fucking shit ton of equipment.
Well,
and
yeah, like the
personnel.
Chiefs when they played the Patriots last year. Remember they had that? I think it was their shoulder pads and like jerseys.
Yeah,
Almost
ended up. Yeah,
Yeah, they almost had to forfeit the game if they didn't get there in time. The NFL rules are if your equipment isn't there, then you have to forfeit.
right,
None of the NFL was going to allow that to happen in a primetime matchup.
right. But yeah, there was a bit of a scare. I do recall that. The last time a game, and one of the first game that ever happened in Dublin, Ireland, was Navy and Notre Dame, and I believe. And oh yeah, that's actually this year that they're doing this whole Ireland thing. So Navy and Notre Dame will be doing it.
I know when I was in London, I watched a few games there, and there's some like rabid fans for the NFL there. When I was in Greece, I watched a couple games, but most of that was tourists from America that were watching those. But yeah, in London, they liked football.
Well, in the World Football League, if you recall, like that in some spots was a hit, like Frankfurt and London. Those teams were a hit. The league folded, obviously, so it didn't work out. But yeah, and I think that kind of kickstarted the fan base, like, and then like you said, Americans, you know.
Yeah, there was a good article I think on The Athletic about that stuff, and they were just saying in the '90s they had the European League, you know, which was basically the minor leagues for football, NFL. But
yeah, that's
a lot of people
Euro
that like it now were just kids then, and that's when they got hooked on it.
Yeah, exactly. And now, you know, and at that point, if they had a favorite player on that team that ended up making it into the NFL, that right there would probably, you know, likely generated a fan of that team. So now, you know,
I think the biggest success story from the Euro League was arguably Brian Waters. He was a guard for the Chiefs, multiple Pro Bowls, won an NFL Man of the Year award. I think he finished his career with. I remember he had a good stint for a few years with the Patriots, and he might have went to one other team before he retired. But I mean,
yeah, Brian Waters, good one.
He might have an outside shot at the Hall of Fame one day. I doubt it, but maybe.
Yeah, I could see him going. Kurt Warner, I think, spent a season or two over there before going to the Arena League.
Did he?
Yep.
He's Hall of Fame.
That dude bounced around everywhere, though, and eventually made it. Hey, Grape.
Little Dick. So, I don't even know what you guys were talking about.
So how would you guys feel about like football games, NFL, college, otherwise? They're saying that they're going through all these ideas of how to handle the crowds and whatnot. There's been talk of maybe not even having crowds and actually pumping in crowd noises into games.
Right.
That
Just
seems
this year?
ridiculous. Unless there was like a phone number or something that like people were calling, you know, like or something.
Well, the Spanish La Liga, they're actually going to funnel in noise from people that are partying at their homes.
I was going to say, I
Twitter.
want to do something like that.
Yeah, so La Liga they're doing that.
If you had a fucking microphone in your house.
You do like a Zoom call or something like that.
You could just let the Amazon Echo listen to you or whatever and send your audio.
They talked to Lamar Jackson, the MVP from this past year, about this today. And he was saying, like, it'd be weird because, he goes, the fans bring a lot of energy, and he talked about that whole experience. But he goes, at the end of the day, I'm going to play a game if they're getting played, so I don't really have a choice. But it'd be different. It would suck. It'd probably take a certain amount of excitement out of it, but watching.
It'd probably just be like a buzzing in the speakers. It wouldn't even sound like, people or whatever.
Well, if you watched
pretty advanced audio equipment out in those places, and they could even use like the big screens and stuff to like show fans that maybe are zooming in from their house or something.
No, just
from old games.
If they had no fans, I guarantee you they would do that.
No. Well, have you guys watched any of the Bundesliga football games that have started up?
Is it Canada?
No, it's German Premier League.
It's
zero crowd. All you hear is the players yelling at each other, and I mean, no crowd, but it's just the players. So you're just hearing the communication on the field the whole game instead. It's almost like watching a high school game. Yeah, it's almost like watching a high school game at two terrible teams, and just the parents are there. Like there's just no one.
People cheer at high school football games.
Yeah, sort of, but it's not like to the degree of obviously, these games.
Are they still doing the European soccer right now, Ryan?
They just actually, and it's funny you mentioned that the Champions League's looking to try and do like a quick 8-game tournament in Lisbon, Portugal.
What? Yeah, that sounds.
I heard.
Yeah,
and then there's 2 weeks ago, Germany was trying to get their league going, and they set up all these protocols. Everybody was basically quarantined into their respective hotels, and one of the coaches, within the first week of them trying to get this up and running, left the hotel to get a toothbrush or toothpaste, something like that.
Yeah, I did see that.
Take it immediately.
Yeah, who's kicked out or whatever, quarantined for 2 weeks.
Yep.
Well, okay, can we all agree, though, that we need football to come back?
Yeah, I'm tired of marble races.
Like, yeah. You think the country is in, like, moral distress right now? You don't play football this fall, there will be a civil war, I feel like, That's how football started. Is because the Civil War ended and young men had nothing to do. So they wanted to start playing football when it was actually like brutal and 8 people would die every game. Seriously.
They didn't have full passing either at that point. It was all just that whole 3 yards and a cloud of dirt.
Yeah, pretty much. It was 5 yards and it was, only running, no throwing or whatever. And
it was pretty much just smear the queer.
Old chestnut.
That's what they called it for sure.
Yeah.
You chose such a beautiful day to say something like that, Chase.
Thank you. The National Gay Day or something, or what?
Well, they did just get
a month.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, is that?
So we all saw that it took an hour and 28 minutes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to offend anybody. Journey, sorry.
You should apologize to Vicky.
Sorry, Vicky.
Well.
Even Vicky knows.
Rainbow Month. I didn't know that.
And, yeah, well, I mean, Trump's trying to take it away from them, right?
No, just their medicals.
Yeah.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, you missed the beginning.
Yeah, I was having computer. Sorry.
She's good. Don't worry about her. So, do you know what a CHAZ is? Any guys?
That's the autonomous zone in Seattle.
Yeah.
CHAZ?
Why do
CHAZ.
they call it CHAZ?
I know of a CHAZ.
Exactly. When you hear the word CHAZ, don't you think like just, the frat boy or whatever?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think of a slightly heavy-set popular guy. I don't know. Like
Oh.
a friendly, portly guy.
Yeah. So the CHAZ, or the Capitol Hill Occupied Protest, is essentially a little area in Seattle where there's usually a lot of different protests going on.
But I
But
think the police also abandoned their precinct there, so people set up an autonomous zone, and
that was a while ago though that they abandoned it. It's been abandoned for a while. But the people just took it back and said, you know what, we're going to control this, little block of the neighborhood, and just no police are allowed in or whatever. It's kind of the first little test. First, I thought that they were just like declaring themselves their own state, which is a kind of what it is,
Like Peter Griffin?
Not
Fair
like,
example. I'm just kidding. Not like that.
I can see how you would think that, but no.
Pretoria.
yeah, Peterbilt.
Pretoria.
But this is actually just like a bunch of hippies in Seattle trying to manage their own city, even though they're still like on public electricity and the water is still running. They're just like they're having a block party essentially, right?
Yeah, from what I read from what's set up out there, they got like vendors, so you can go out there and have people making food. There's places where there's live music.
But it's all free right now too.
And
it's turned into a little mini Burning Man festival.
That's not what I've read. Burning Man. That's naked people running around
in the desert. Well, I think a lot of people are flocking to it now that it's been like established. They hear, oh, free food and no police I got to worry about. Yeah, I'll go live in these, square blocks in downtown Seattle or whatever. I don't know.
Are people actually posting up and staying, like living out there?
Yeah, people live there. As soon as they took the square blocks or whatever, people have been staying there. They haven't been leaving, And
Fox is a good neighborhood.
Well, I don't think it's homeless people. I think it's just weird.
No, they're
Seattle
mostly
people.
just hippies and protesters. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some homeless people have wandered in. If you're gonna give us free food and like fucking drum circles and poetry slams, apparently.
Mushrooms, acid, fuck yeah.
Probably. So, Trump has called it domestic terrorism, ugly anarchist. And the mayor has basically said, hey, they're just fucking, it's just a block party. Like, they'll, I don't know, party themselves out or whatever.
The police were ordered to vacate that precinct last Monday by the mayor. And from what I'm reading here about it, it's just basically protests spearheaded by Black Lives Matter. But it's not like free food. I think some people have some food, but it's actually like a lot of vendors and stuff.
But there's not supposed to be any money going on in it. So any vendor that's setting up is giving food out. That's one.
So I'm reading that there's also community gardens too. So there's an article on Vox that kind of VOX. Right, they've got basically an explanation going on about it, and
they just set up gardens recently. I mean, it takes a garden a while to produce, vegetables and shit to eat.
Obviously, but yeah.
But what camp out area if you want to camp? They've been doing like poetry slams.
See,
there's a school service day out there too.
An impromptu dodgeball game.
That'd be fun.
Dodgeball.
It just sounds like college, people partying or whatever
It sounds exactly like college.
with no
Like-
safe zones.
Cool.
But there's also a lot of conflicting articles or like information out there because Fox News has reported on this Wikipedia article and it doesn't say it, but there's some sort of rapper that's like they're claiming he's a warlord that's taken over this area or whatever. And the people themselves have said that we have no leader. We didn't even plan this. We're just kind of figuring out as we go along or whatever. So it's just very interesting because it's like Seattle is allowing this to happen, right?
Right.
Why?
A lot of pissed off people. I don't know.
Yeah. And what happens when
it's nothing's gotten out of hand from anything I've read about. And I think
Yeah,
they're like,
exactly.
as long as you guys aren't destroying property and hurting people and, why are they going to stop them?
are they paying taxes? They're still using, the water and electricity.
If you have a residence there, then yeah, I would assume so. But if you're just a panhandler, you don't go and tax somebody hopping on drains. You bust them and arrest them.
I
Well,
guess.
if there's food being sold there, food is taxed. So, or at least the sale of it is. So, I would say, yeah, they're probably paying taxes. Maybe
But
not.
they're not
all of
making
the
any
taxes,
money.
but-
Because there's no food, there's no money going on in this area. There's
They don't
no
have-
exchange of money or whatever.
So if I come over and give you some food for my house, you expect to be taxed on it? Somebody wants to donate food for other people to eat, and why do you care?
I mean, that's also a fair point. Yeah.
That
if
is
you're
true. But it's like, I don't
They're going to
know.
run out of food, have no money to get food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're going to have no money to pay the water bill that's going on. So is this
And
like,
they're it's going to go away eventually because there's going to be no money and people are going to be like, well, this is stupid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we gotta go. We gotta go to work. Sorry.
Yeah. No more free food. All the free food's gone. Well, fuck, we better leave.
no more free food? Where's the poetry? Oh, no more poetry? I'm out of here.
Where's the guy with the megaphone spewing Marxism?
Well, so, yeah, hand baskets. But I don't know.
All the
Well,
hand baskets.
this is interesting. I want to see how this plays out because something's going on here.
We'll be over next week.
Nah, I doubt it, man. I feel like they're gonna stretch this.
Seattle's a little out there. That'll probably go on a while.
I feel like the government wants to make an example out of this. It's like, see, this is what happens when you try to live on a community by yourself. You'll get screwed over.
I don't think a lot of those people
Or-
are living out there. I think it's just people that are going out there because there's stuff happening. A lot of those people live in that area. They have houses or apartments or whatever.
They've said the article I read said that they were accepting in homeless, but I mean, like, you're probably right. People aren't living there.
There are a lot of homeless people in Seattle. I was out there last year. I mean, like, they have a true tent city in some areas. Like, it's insane. But
Portland's like that too.
a lot of the West Coast is like that in the Silicon Valley area.
People
There's
just want to
people that
live
live in
there.
those big cities making over $100,000 a year can't afford to live in a house or an apartment.
So, but this is
Too expensive to move out of the state, and they're kind of like trapped. But since big tech kind of took off, a lot of places like San Francisco, the property values have skyrocketed so much that people that live and work there can't afford any housing. So a lot of people that you might see in tents, you might think that they're just like beggars or whatever. A lot of them actually have full-time jobs, and they were get like a large medical bill, throws your entire finances off, and you lose your home.
Big time.
So this area, though, that they have occupied or whatever, the square couple blocks, is a block that has been known for all these protests before. It's like a place where they have gathered before at this precinct or whatever. They did set up medical stations right away, and apparently they played the movie The 13th, a documentary about racism and mass incarceration the first night. And yeah, it just seems like a total makeshift college. But the crazy thing is that city services are still being provided to the zone, including fire, trash removal, and Seattle says they will still respond to 911 calls.
Well, there's still residential areas there. I think there's apartment buildings and actual commercial areas too. So it's like you can't just shut that stuff off. There's people paying to live there.
These people are still citizens of the United States, right? You know, they can't just block them off or whatever and not talk to them. So I don't know. It's just a really weird situation with all the like, let's see what's gonna happen. You know, if the cops do show up in riot gear and just fucking pull them out and say, nope, this is our precinct.
It's probably just a matter of time before that gets changed. Yeah. Seattle's getting a lot of pressure, or at least the mayor is.
The mayor seems cool with it. He's like accepted all of it. He's probably down there with them.
Likely, but I mean, he's still probably getting a shit ton of pressure from other leaders.
Probably.
Well, I know Trump said that if they didn't take care of it, he was going to sit in the troops or something to that effect.
Yeah, that's always the right thing to do, dummy.
Start shooting.
Just come in and start shooting pellets.
Yeah.
Shoot that tear gas that makes everyone cough, you know, so we can get that COVID game back going again.
Yeah. Right.
Shoot that metal bullet that's wrapped with rubber.
Right.
What?
Although an entertaining video I saw was someone getting hit in the balls by a tear gas can. I mean, anytime someone gets hit in the balls, I can't help but laugh about that, even though it was a tear gas can.
Yeah, he shouldn't have been standing there.
I think it's because he kicked another one back at the police, and so someone with a tear gas gun had a sense of humor.
That's funny.
So yeah, that's the CHAZ. Never thought we'd talk about what a CHAZ is, but there you go.
I knew I was going to learn something today on this podcast.
Always, man. Always.
So it's just a bunch of frat boys living in a.
CHAZ is usually a frat boy, isn't he? CHAZ is always usually a frat boy.
I mean, that just sounds like a frat boy name. For sure.
CHAZ, man.
Wears 3 polos
Yeah.
at the
Right.
same time.
3 collars at one time. For sure.
Steve Bannon does that.
Speaking of CHAZ, I think we have a little Bast talk.
Uh-oh.
Best turd for.
Derrick, do you want to explain the bastard?
Yeah, so that's a cat I've had for about 10 years now. He recently he's an indoor-outdoor cat, and recently he's been like spending a lot of time outside. Well, I won't even see him sometimes for like a day or two. So I think it was like a week or two ago. He was gone for a while, like 2 days solid. My wife was a little worried. And there's like a neighborhood app. I don't know what the hell it's called, but she's on it. So she went to post something like, hey, have you seen my cat? And ended up finding a thread all about our cat. Let me see if I can pull it up. I won't be able to share the pictures, but I can read some of what's on there.
I'm just sharing some of his old Facebook photos of him with his cat cam.
He has a camera on him?
We got a camera at one point.
He's just exploring these people's backyards.
All right. So here, I'll read you the thread from this app. So this is what my wife found. This was posted May 15th this year. Gray cat just started seeing around this week. Very friendly. follows you and lets you pet it. Seems like a cat that belongs to someone who's been socialized near 38th and Marcy, which is right where I live on. Belong to anyone. And all these people start commenting on it, saying like, "Oh, I love that cat. I go outside and he goes on walks with me and my dog. I have no idea whose cat it is, but he hangs around my house. I named him Carl. He actually got into my house one time." And then they actually continue saying they kind of miss Carl. He hasn't come to visit in a while. And then just a bunch of people talking about how they see the cat and sometimes they don't see him for a while and they miss him. So then my wife responded on there and said, "Oh, that's my cat. His name's Bass," and blah, blah, blah. And so a bunch of people were like, "Oh, it's good that he has a family. That's good." So then last week we had that big storm that came through and we wanted to get him inside, in case it was hailing or anything. So my wife goes out around the corner and, it's usually he hangs out a block away. And he comes running up to her, and all these neighbors were outside, I guess, and start talking to her like, "Oh, you know this cat?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, it's my cat." One of the people said like, "Yeah, I almost started keeping him inside and adopted him as my own." Another lady said, "My cat or my son loves your cat. He brings him into our house all the time and plays with him." People leave. He gets fed tuna daily, apparently. Which is why he's not hanging out at my house anymore. He's getting fresh tuna out of the can, and getting some kid playing with them all day. Yeah, so he's got a new name, Carl. And apparently he's a sensation that goes around and walks with other people and lets himself into their houses.
That's hilarious.
Look
What
at that
a fun-loving guy.
That's
what a shithead.
Yeah, nailed it.
well. We got to end the podcast with some nice cat news, happy news like that.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, well,
You
I
should
am
make a sign.
in the neighborhood now, apparently.
You should make a sign that says Carl's house in front
Carl's
of the
house. There you go.
You should do that. Actually, just put out a picture of the cat and put him like, "I live here," so people would know that.
Then you can put it on the app.
I mean, I could
Carl back.
Just so people know and they walk by like, "Oh, look, Carl," or whatever they want to call him lives here.
Does he have a leash? Or does he have a collar?
No, he doesn't have, he's chipped.
You should get a bell for him, though.
That'd be annoying.
Yeah.
It is. I grew up with a cat that always had a bell on. You'd hear that thing at 3 a.m. It was annoying as shit.
Yeah, our cats go crazy early enough in the morning as it is. I don't need to hear a bell.
Right.
When they scratch your face, like, feed me.
If he's home, he will. He comes home and he eats his morning meal and eats his dinner and he's out and every other time.
I got tuna to go get.
I got dessert up the street I got to get.
Some kid calling me Carl. I got to go see him today.
He's getting well. He's not fat, but he's definitely put on a little bit of weight. But he's outside all the time running around, so he just burns it off.
He's fat.
That's fair.
I'll say it, Derrick.
He's a fat bastard.
He's thickened up a little bit. He's still got that winter weight.
He has like 5 different families.
Right.
When I go and walk the dog, if he's out, he'll follow us. I've had people stop on the street and be like, "There's a cat following you." I'm like, "Yeah, it's my cat." And they're like, "Oh my God, how do you train it to do that?" And it's like, just always done it.
Just don't walk across Dodge with him.
Yeah, right.
Leave me alone.
Did you show the selfie picture?
The what?
The selfie picture he took. It's his reflection in that back window.
The one in the window, yeah.
Yeah, we saw that one, didn't we? I think so. I'm going to look at this one. So, anyone else have anything else to trash talk before we wrap this crazy fucking podcast up?
Nope.
Did you get your laundry done, Chase?
I did. All time.
That's good.
I think we should trash talk the food distribution in this country and maybe use it as a prelude to another episode.
Who's garage?
Anybody else notice that meat is going through the roof at the grocery stores right now? And
Oh,
even
yeah.
though we have enough animals, they're having to slaughter and kill them all because they can't get them to market.
Yeah, I've seen posts of pig farmers basically saying, seriously, come to my farm, $100, you can have this pig and you can go slaughter it. $100, which is a fucking steal.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, are you going to slaughter a pig, Ryan?
Yeah, because I know where to take it. But, I mean, most
Yeah,
people
that'd be
probably
fun.
aren't going to.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I would. Absolutely. You could live off that for a goddamn year,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, you could.
I mean,
Yeah, we
I
tried
used
to
to...
buy some. We ended up getting ribs. I can't remember what my wife was hoping to get, like brisket or something. It was like $40.
Probably like a pork roast or something.
No, it was a beef, something beef, and
Okay.
and it was $40 for it.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting like some pork ribs, which maybe a little bit more expensive than normal, but it wasn't outlandish like that.
Yeah, I've noticed Hy-Vee's ribeyes have gone up quite a bit. They're like almost $17 a pop.
Yeah.
I probably
If
see
you go for the 12 ounce.
Hmm.
I actually just smoked a pork shoulder again over the weekend. That wasn't bad price, but I've definitely seen it cheaper. I think I got like a almost 5-pounder for $13, $12, something like
I didn't
that.
know you had a smoker. You got a smoker?
I do. I like to smoke some meats. Mostly just
Yeah.
pork and ribs and beef ribs.
The beef is what's been crazy expensive. A pound of hamburger at Baker's was going for for 1 pound. I think it was $8.
Yeah. Don't even look at the price tag for the grass-fed shit. It's like almost 10, if not already $10 a pound.
Yeah. For a pound.
And we're not talking bison meat, which is usually that price. Like, it's insane. But yeah.
Vicky says pork is cheap, but beef is outrageous.
She nailed it. Couldn't have said it better.
my beef's better.
I prefer pork ribs over beef ribs.
Chase likes his beef.
If I'm hungry,
Uh-huh.
I go for the beef, but pork, I'm with D. Pork is probably pork ribs, like spare ribs or St. Louis style. Yeah, those are pork's way to go.
Pork gets juicy or whatever, you know.
I think beef ribs to me are kind of stringy. I don't like the texture nearly as much as I like the pork.
It's a bit finickier to cook. Yeah, absolutely. Pork is just straightforward. Yeah, I agree. Like trying to smoke a beef brisket. It's like a 14-step process. You smoke a pork butt. It's a 3-step process. Yeah, I mean, completely different.
So Emily asks, how do others find Bast page? If there's a T in there, he's Bast. He's the Egyptian cat god. You just have to go to Facebook and type in Bast Turd Ferguson, and you'll find it. Here, I'll type it into the thing for you.
My name. That's my name. Turd Ferguson.
Bastard. I get it now.
Oh shit! I typed it wrong now. It's turd.
Bastard.
He's a popular bastard.
He's a turd, though. He's a turd. So
Well, he's a Carl now.
Well, yeah, he's a popular Carl turd.
Carl Bastard Ferguson.
country style.
Country style, also solid.
All right. So, yeah.
Ah,
Oh,
Find
how did
Bast
the
Turd
people find
Ferguson.
it? He
You'll
visits
find
my
it.
neighborhood, all my neighbors.
Are you going to Derrick's neighborhood, 38th and Marcy, and you'll just see him walking around.
Hooking.
Pooping?
I'm going there now.
Hooking. Not pooping.
Hooking.
Hooking.
All right. Well, little Dick, I'm glad you made it in tonight.
He's cat hooking.
Ryan, thanks for wearing the 49ers hat.
Thanks for having
obviously.
me, guys. Don't forget to
Yeah.
follow the Showtime shirt. No.
Derrick, thanks for show timing it off. Lane, thanks for bringing your screen and the bastard Ferguson. And we'll catch you next time.
All right, guys.
Fuck off,
All right.
Good night, Omaha.
Fuck you.
God bless.
Peace out.